All right. Yo. All right. Here we go. Tuesday, Derrel Sims is here. And the other good news is we're 2 days away from Contact in the Desert. Yay. Oh, are we going to be ready? Oh, man. Oh. No rest around here. So there you go. Good evening, everybody. Now, Roseanne got canceled today. Who saw that coming, right? Number one show. Just incredible. The divide that is going on in this country of ours. I just don't understand it. Why can't everybody just be like us? You know, just cool, fun, and open-minded. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how the lines in the sand have been drawn and how people are fighting with each other over this. There you go. Okay, so talk a little bit about that and also the attacks that are going on our YouTube channel. And I thought that we were immune to that, but apparently not. And I'll talk about that in a little bit too as well. I go live in 5 seconds. You guys enjoy the show. It's going to be great.
Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. Today's Tuesday, May 29th, 2018. 148 days into the new year, just 217 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? All right, tonight, very special guest, Derrel Sims. Derrel Sims, the alien hunter, is here. He's going to give us an update on recent developments and his most provocative ongoing cases. That's right. All that and much more tonight with Derrel Sims. Tomorrow night is a special Fader night with open lines all night long. That's right, because we're taking Thursday off. We're headed to Contact in the Desert out in Palm Springs. Friday night, we're going to be broadcasting live from Contact in the Desert. You can follow us now at onstellar.com. You can go and find me there. I'm easy to find. You can find Fade to Black. You can find the Game Changer Network. You can find Rita. We're all there. Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can do that too as well. Facebook, I don't know what you want to do with that. And YouTube, where we are under attack at the moment. And more on that in just a bit. But I thought we were immune. I really did. I just thought, you know, who would want to mess around with us, right? You know, because we're just cool. But nonetheless, we're under attack over there. I'll tell you more about that in just a bit. Yeah, disturbing. All right. You can email right now, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Of course, Twitter is at JChurchRadio. Twitter is always up and live in front of me. The sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. If you have any questions or comments, you can use hashtag F2BQ. We have 2 chat rooms, one over at KGRA The Planet, and of course, Spreaker. So there's 2 chat rooms where you can go and hang out and just hang out. Talk about the show. Everything's in real time. Everybody is really cool. All right. Breaking news. The Roseanne reboot got canceled today by ABC. That's right. And I'll go on the record right now and just say you're never too big to fail. You're never too big to get fired. Go ask Bill O'Reilly. You're never too big to get fired. Kevin Spacey. You're never too big to get fired. She was also dropped today from her talent agency, one of the biggest, ICM. ICM Partners dropped Roseanne Barr today. I realize that there is a lot of uproar about what happened and how it happened. Based on tweets, you got to be careful with that. And obviously Roseanne wasn't. You just got to be careful. Number one. Number two, there are those out there that are coming to the defense of Roseanne. But what I find disturbing with all of this is how people are fighting over this. And it's extraordinary. And the excuses that are being made. So there you go for both sides. But I'm just saying, I don't know how our country got here, but we're here. It's just bizarre to me. It's absolutely trippy. And the ability for this angst, and so much of it is via social media, but this angst, everybody is so quick to just start fires. And now, putting Roseanne aside, I'll talk a little bit more about this tonight, but putting Roseanne aside, I was sent a couple of links this afternoon about some stuff going on out there at social media. You know, you've got to go check this out. And I went and read, and not to talk about what it was about or who or, you know, whatever. That's not even the point. It was an obvious attempt to cause trouble. And it's just like, what are you doing? You know, why do people do this now? I just don't get it. And trying to turn people against each other. It's bizarre to me. And I know these people. I know who's doing the posting, and I'm just like, what are you doing? You know, you can't. And I want all of you to take this to heart and listen to me. You cannot call yourself cool, enlightened, awakened, and cause trouble. You can't be both. It's impossible. And I'm looking at and it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And it's going on all over the place. And everybody is just like so quick to do it now, just so quick and dividing things up. And I think most of it, I'm gonna go as high as 95%. 95%. There might be 5% that's legit. But 95% is driven by ego. It's somebody that wants attention on themselves. That's and nobody recognizes that part. It's just like you don't step back and go, well, who cares? Who cares? I mean, why is this? And they're just trying to feed their ego and make themselves something that they are not. And something that they are not even qualified to elevate themselves up to, because once you do that and you take yourself into a position of influence, if you're going to do that, then you respect others. That's what you do, and you respect yourself. How would you treat yourself? How would you treat yourself? How would you treat your family, your children, your pets, your animals? Well, that's what you do with everybody, whether you like them or not. So there you go. It's just all driven by ego, and social media has allowed people to let this ego get out of check. It's absolutely amazing. Going back to Roseanne, ego's out of check, completely out of check. You just wouldn't say that stuff about your own family. You just wouldn't do it, and you're doing it to feed your own ego. And then the divide starts. And now we've got people fighting over. People are arguing with themselves violently right now because somebody lost their $1 million a week gig, right? And allowed their ego to come into play. And because of that, people are fighting with each other. They don't even know what caused all of this. It's insane. It's insane. What has this world come to? It's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. All right. Our next event's coming up, and we're going to get there in 2 days. It's happening in 3. June 1st through the 4th. Kicks off this Friday. Indian Wells, Palm Springs at the Renaissance Resort and Spa. Contact in the Desert. Okay, so our weekly schedule is turned around just a little bit. We'll be at Contact in the Desert Thursday. So we're not going to broadcast Thursday night. We'll be broadcasting Friday night live in front of a studio audience there at the Renaissance Resort and Spa. Very excited about this. And I'm not sure what the attendance is going to be this year, but the numbers are being thrown around 4,000, 5,000 or more. And so come and hang out with us. It's just an amazing event. Come and hang out with us. We'll have a booth. OnSteller's going to have a booth. Modern Masters and Stillness in the Storm. Teresa Yanaris and everybody's going to be right there. We've got a really nice footprint. Come by and hang out with us. And we've got all the cool stuff and the gear and all of that. So just come by and say hello. Okay, I've got events that I'll be doing all weekend long, and of course we'll have a couple of secret gatherings. And just come on by, okay, and hang out with us. It is going to be absolutely amazing. And then right after that, June 23rd, I'll be at Disclosure Fest here in Los Angeles. Rita and I are going to go hang out all day long. A great list of speakers, and some of the recent announcements that I got today, I'll talk about it on Monday as it goes fully official, but absolutely extraordinary. And it's free. It's free. It's 35 acres in downtown Los Angeles. Disclosure Fest, June 23rd. And then our Soul Tech, which is going down up at ECETI Ranch, this August 9th through the 12th. Go to soultechgathering.com. And Corey Good is going to be there as a special guest. We've got James Gilliland, Jason Quipp, Matthew Ryan, Michaela Sheldon, of course, Teresa Yanaris, Mary Gabrielle, and John Lund, Dana Harvey, and A few more announcements will also be made on Monday. And then after that, a week later, August 17th through the 19th, I'll be out at Dimensions of Disclosure in Loveland, Colorado. So tickets and info are over at dimensionsofdisclosure.com. And great lineup out there, too, as well. So there, oh, man. I'm tired. I'm so tired. Jimmy, because of Eric, I'm bringing my Jumbo Guild. Let's do That's the Way, Led Zeppelin. That'll be great. Who's playing guitar? Who's playing guitar? That's a cool song. I'm just wondering who's going to play guitar. Oh, Scott's going to play. Scott's going to play and sing at the same time. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have over 850 archive shows, custom apps, Apple, Android, all platforms, just $2 a month. Go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the podcast banner. You can also become a Fader Not over in our membership section of the site, where you can get the Bunker Cam commercial-free downloadable archives. And if you get the Game Changer, you will also get your Fade to Black gear, autographed shirts, and hats. Don't forget all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, Numana Food Storage, and, of course, Bearing Optics. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Noel Gallagher is 51. Oasis. I got to say, Oasis was a great band. Those first couple of videos and the way that they put that band together, absolutely amazing. Amazing. And then, two brothers just couldn't get along. Happy birthday, Noel Gallagher. Our dead guy's birthday today is John F. Kennedy. 1917 to 1963, died, assassinated at the age of 46, also known as JFK. 35th President of the United States, serving in office from 1961 until his assassination in 1963. During his presidency, there were a number of historical events, including the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Bay of Pigs, and, of course, the Civil Rights Movement. Those were amazing times. And I was just a month old when he was assassinated. Yeah, I was a month old. I know that I say that I'm old, but I guess I'm not that old. On this day in history, OTD 1979. You may not know about this. Judge John Wood, known as Maximum John, is assassinated outside of his San Antonio, Texas home as he bent down to look at a flat tire on his car. Actor Woody Harrelson's father, Charles Harrelson, was charged with the murder after evidence revealed that a drug kingpin, his name is Jimmy Chagra, whose case was about to come up before Maximum John, Judge John Wood, had paid Woody Harrelson's father, Charles, $250,000. And it happened on this day in 1979. Fader fact. Oh, I don't have a Fader fact today. Yeah, I didn't do it. I had other stuff that I was dealing with today, but we have Derrel Sims is joining us. We're going to talk about all of his ongoing cases and what is going on and how to identify certain things. We're going to go through all of that tonight with Derrel. Tomorrow night's Fader night. We're taking Thursday night off. Friday night, we'll be broadcasting live from Contact in the Desert, so tune in for that very special show. And now, here we go. You want to know what I was dealing with today? Why you don't have your Fader fact? Because I'm drinking my River Moon coffee. Because our YouTube channel is being attacked. Yeah. Now, I had said earlier that I thought we were immune to this. our show just chugs along. It's just we do our thing. We're talking about UFOs and time travel and Egypt and things, and we just have fun on this show. And we collect knowledge and distribute that knowledge with all of you. That's really it. And somebody now, before you ask what is going on and how it's being done, I'm not going to disclose any of that. I don't want to, A, give anybody credit. Number two, I don't want to give anybody out there ideas on how to do this kind of stuff. But the attacks are happening. And so if you went to go and check out last night's show, you saw that it's not there. Can't upload. You probably noticed some videos are missing. Those were removed. There are a lot of other features and stuff that have been shut down. And not that I'm locked out. That hasn't happened yet. But I have one of the biggest and best management companies that runs our YouTube channel. Okay? They run it. And my guy, Ian, who manages the channel for this company, is on top of his game. And we have people that we work with over at YouTube. So will all of this, it's going to be just fine. And he just texted me right before the show saying, okay, it's all good. But the point is, somebody out there is attacking us. And it is so, if you know what you're doing, it is so, and it's also time consuming if you're doing the attacking, but if you know what you're doing, this can be done. And it's offensive because we haven't done anything to anybody. We just do our show. We just do our thing. No, our issues are not with YouTube. Okay? It's with some bad actors out there. And so there will be measures put into place to stop this in the future. But for now, the attack happened. So I really don't know. I don't know how to what's the word that I want to use? I don't know how to really put it into words. I've got a little noise in my line. Is that better? Okay. Yeah, it's fixed. The community, and I want to go back to what I was talking about earlier with Roseanne. The community that's out there on social media, that is out there on the web right now, the people that hang out and they're doing their things. The ethics and the etiquette and the way to be on social media in general and in life has lost itself. And I don't understand why there are those out there that think it's okay to behave in this fashion. What there used to be when, and it wasn't that long ago, that you addressed adults, especially adults that you don't know, as sir, ma'am. You showed respect to everybody. You showed respect. And that part of life is gone. It's completely gone. It has disappeared. And what angers me about this, and it should anger you, is there are those out there that say that our freedom of speech is being held back, that we can't do this, we can't say this on social, we can't, what do you mean? Because of the way that people act right now on social media, the things that they say, that you've got apparently too much freedom of speech. And there are those out there right now, that are too free with their fingertips on a keyboard and flap their jaws and post videos and say things and tweet things that, you know what, quite simply are out of line. But yet you want to say, we're getting our freedom of speech taken away from us. Apparently not. And now, because of everything that has gone down, now it's okay to go and troll or attack or take down somebody's YouTube channel or go and report somebody on Facebook or, get their channel taken down and their profiles removed and get them thrown into jail and Facebook jail and Twitter jail. And it's how did we get here? It's not fun anymore. It's not cool. And there are those out there that really want to go and come to Disney's defense, ABC's defense, or come to Roseanne Barr's defense, or come to whoever's and start attack. It's just it's completely out of control. Completely. And I don't know how bad it's got to get before everybody gets tired of it and they just back off and, okay, that was a failed experiment. Let's get back to being cool and having fun with life. Or is it just going to continue down this path to the point where we're just fighting each other completely? Just, when you see, check this out. It's one thing to do this on social media where you're hiding behind a keyboard and a monitor, right? Okay, that's one thing. But now you watch these videos being posted up around social media of people just flaming out in a restaurant, or flaming out at some fast food worker, or flaming out at somebody walking down the street. Just crazy. It's everywhere. And I have to say, I don't remember any of this going down all the way through probably 2000 is when it started to slip away from us. Right around 2000, 2005. Reality TV and all of that stuff started to creep in. And then certainly YouTube, and now with the ability to Periscope and live stream, and this stuff is just everywhere. And I don't get it. And it's not like, look, I've got my faults. You have your faults. We all have those. But I really do. I do my best to practice what I preach. I do the best that I can to be nice to everybody that I'm around, everybody that I meet. I don't have that badness in my body, but I've watched this shift change, and I don't understand it. And here I am. Why would somebody go and attack our YouTube channel? So now I'm feeling a little bit offended. And it's not that I can point fingers and say it's the YouTube police, right? It's YouTube, and I could be in an uproar. YouTube is clamping down our freedom of speech. I'll go right back to everything that I've ever said. Posting on YouTube is a privilege. Posting on Twitter, tweeting is a privilege. Facebook is a privilege. We've confused things with First Amendment and free speech with companies. You have the right to go out into your front yard and yell whatever you want to do. You want to paint a sign and go hang out in front of City Hall, in front of the police department, and go protest. That's freedom of speech. You got all the rights to do that in the world. But you don't have the right to put something in the newspaper. You don't have the right to put something on Facebook or Twitter. You don't have those rights. You don't have those rights to post whatever you want on YouTube. You've got to stay in bounds, ethical bounds, decency bounds. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be a whistleblower. That's different. But when you step outside of ethics and etiquette, how would you treat your children? How would you treat your pets, your animals, your family? That's the way you need to be. Because if you're doing anything else, then that's not really who you are, is it? There you go. I'm going to get out of here. I want to get Derrel Sims in here. Love that guy. But yeah, I got a little bit of taste today, and it didn't sit right with me. Yeah, the etiquette has been lost. It's gone. It's gone, and I don't know if it's ever going to come back. It's crazy. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Follow me on Twitter @jchurchradio. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
What can I say about the most popular tea on the internet? And what do customers say about Life Change Tea at getthetea.com? A lot. But by federal law, we at getthetea.com cannot make claims to how this product can enhance your health. We cannot even post our testimonies without being in compliance. So how do we get past the hump? Try our products at getthetea.com and see for yourself. You can send us a testimony, but we just can't post it. Bummer. Our products are GMO-free and organic. We pride ourselves in being the best we can be, and we urge you to take charge of your health. We're 11 years strong, and many of our customers have shared their successes with friends and family. Protect your colon. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. Getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show. On the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Life Change Tea. Just go to the Life Change Tea banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. Click, go, use the promo code FADER, F-A-D-E-R, and you will get free shipping. Little program note. Tonight it's Derrel Sims. Tomorrow night we will have open lines, Fader night. Thursday night we are taking off, and Friday night we'll be broadcasting live from Contact in the Desert. And there you go. We'll be back on Tuesday of next week. Monday we'll be traveling. That's a travel day for us. But Fade to Black will be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'm back over on Coast to Coast Friday and Saturday. There you go. Very, very busy month coming up for us. But tonight, it's all about Derrel Sims, the alien hunter. He is the world's leading expert on alien abductions. His 38-plus years of field research has focused on physical evidence and led to his groundbreaking discoveries of alien implants and alien fluorescence. As a former military police officer and CIA operative, Sims has a unique insight on the alien organization, which he believes functions similarly to an intelligence agency. He's also a compassionate and skilled therapist who has helped hundreds of experiencers all over the world come to terms with what they have witnessed. Tonight, we're going to discuss all of it. And when we are done, head over to his website, alienhunter.org. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only Derrel Sims. Derrel, good evening.
How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm always great when I hear your voice.
Well, you should be. I mean, after that time we had the nice dinner in that nice restaurant, remember that? Or do you remember all of it?
I remember candles, white tablecloths. And what we were drinking really good Perrier Jouet, I think, champagne.
Yes.
Yeah, nice place. That was extraordinary.
Yeah, it really was.
Really nice place. And but look, I want to start off here. Our community cares about you a lot, and you went through a little bit of a scare. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine right now. I had a hip replacement about 2 months ago, and then shortly thereafter, I had a stroke, and that kind of took the wind out of my sails there for a while, I'll tell you. And then I recovered so quickly from the stroke that 5 of the physical therapists called me Superman. And they apparently weren't kidding, because the first day I couldn't walk, the second day I was standing up, third day I was walking with help. And it's just progressed. I've got like half a dozen conferences right now that got to go to. In fact, Roswell and the Dulce conference are coming up very quickly.
Right.
So I'm just doing fine.
Well, when you hear the word stroke, it doesn't matter who you are. You hear that, and that's enough to scare everybody. And, we did a little fundraising for you and did what we could as, our community, and your thoughts are, our thoughts are always with you and your family. And it was, you sound great. You don't sound stroke-ish, right?
Well, I really don't. As far as we went through some really severe financial times, and the help that the UFO community provided for us was absolutely essential and absolutely incredible. You have no idea how much it helped and how much it meant. And we had people from all the way, even uncovering from the ancient aliens people, some of those folks and others.
Right.
I'm telling you, I just can't tell you, Jason Martell and others that were just absolutely wonderful. And you guys were just, anyway, I want to thank everybody for that. None of it's forgotten. And it's just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
You're important to us in our community, and I'm just so happy to hear you right now. I mean, it's just, there you go. Okay, so now we got all the mushy stuff out of the way. Let's push that aside. And I mean that because this is the thing. If you haven't met Derrel, Derrel is tall, lanky, intimidating, Doc. Looks. What's the word I want to use for you? You look official. You've got that aura about you. You know this. You know that. You walk down the street and you command attention, and so that's my vision of you. All right, and so that's.
Well, I've always wanted to see if I could intimidate the men in black, but that would be my best test for me.
I don't think that's an issue. Have you have you had the opportunity to maybe put your toe in that water?
Well, I have an opportunity, and if we want to exploit it, it will cause no small stir in the government, I think. But on a more milder form of that, there is a couple of ex-FBI guys that intimidated one of my abductees one day, and he called me on the phone. With them on the phone, they were there at his place, and they identified themselves and everything. I won't say who sent them, and it wasn't the government. But the bottom line was I got all over the guy and his partner, and I said, do you know what an ex-FBI special agent means to me? Nothing. Zero. I said, I'm ex-CIA. What does that mean? Nothing. Zero. I said, you better be glad I'm not there. I said, I'll tell you what, they're coming over and intimidating that guy and scaring him half to death and his family. And he said, but you got all the evidence. And I said, I did, didn't I? Didn't leave anything for you at all.
Right.
Too bad about that. They wanted the biological evidence from the case, and I already had it all secured. But the point is that it was fun messing with those guys anyway.
The last few months, Derrel, you've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. And the last few months, we've got ET and UFOs in the headlines. It's been every day. I get a new link. Today Huffington Post did another article. It's something every day somewhere on mainstream media. I need your opinion. What's going on with this?
Excuse me. Once in a while, we get these. Excuse me. Once in a while, we get these people calling me, and they send me these messages from the ascended masters or whoever's out there in charge of all this, saying that all abductions have stopped. And I said, well, that's really interesting. I said, you need to tell my abductee support group because they don't seem to understand that. And I don't, there's just too much activity that goes on. And I suspect at least 40 to 50% of this stuff is the United States government and or other governments that are complicit with this, because some of this stuff is back engineered. And I'm telling you, you can't tell the real stuff from their stuff. So it's hard to really make that determination. Used to you kind of could, but in the last 20 years, it's just absolutely remarkable the stuff that we have that the government doesn't have.
Just recently, over the last couple of months, and as far as I know, this has never happened before. But over the last couple of months, the FAA released cockpit recordings of one of some FA-18 Hornets up in Oregon, in that area, and another one, a commercial airliner and a private jet aircraft like a Learjet or something, down in the Tucson area. With these incredible UFO sightings. And now we've got, the FAA releasing audio tapes of UFOs. Again, it seems like there's an agenda here, but I just don't know what it is. Since when is the FAA our friends?
They're not, and they never have been. The fact is that whenever you see things like this released by the government, you're at least 50 years behind. I mean, it's just unreal. And an example, even a little more personal, is when I was speaking in Switzerland. A lady there gave me a actual film footage taken inside an airplane of a passenger looking out the window, because the pilot says, "You're not going to believe this, but everybody look out the right side of the window." And they look out, and it looks like a building of light in the clouds. Now, it's possible it could have been some kind of light inversion or something like that, but it doesn't look that way to the pilot, nor to the people, nor to me as I'm looking at it. And I have the original film footage, but I don't think they're going to post that one from the airline. That it's not going to happen. Right. I was shocked that the pilot would even mention it.
And with these types of releases for something like the FAA, when I ask the obvious, since when has the FAA been our friends? But they've never done this before. Why choose to do this now in 2018?
Because somebody's already told them what to do, in my opinion. And this is my opinion. This is not the rule. This is just my opinion. My opinion, they're just using an illustration. Excuse me. They're just using small things to feed people. I mean, they have this interest. You have a much more educated audience now than ever before, and you can't hide everything forever because there's too many witnesses, too much stuff. So it's easier just to play along and who knows what a light is that sits on some radar scope. I mean, so what? That doesn't mean anything. They're not asking the right questions, like, who says that? Why is it moving faster than it should? And why is it that you don't know anything about it? How is it that you don't know what that is? When you go to the DSP satellite logs, you find out there are fast and slow walkers, thousands of them on record, thousands, not of one or two, like on that simple radar scope, but thousands of them. They're a matter of public record. Nobody just knows how to find it. That's all.
Are you suggesting, and I kind of like this, if this is what you're suggesting, that because the information is so readily available now for, through the internet and cell phones and live streaming and certainly access to other data out there, that before it was easy to hide and suppress, but now it's not that way. So they're trying to stay out in front of it. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, out in front of it is one thing, but the fact is that years ago, and this was back in the 90s, I spoke to a gentleman. I did a presentation out in California, and he was so impressed with it. He says, I would like for you to come over to my house, and I did, and he was a satellite specialist, and he started discussing this whole phenomenon with me. The first question I asked him was, have you ever seen a UFO, or are there UFOs up there? And he said, there's no such thing as a flying saucer or UFO. There ever has been, never will be. I said, I totally understand that. I said, now let me ask the question properly. Have you ever seen a fast or slow walker? He said, sure, thousands of them. We have thousands of them on record. Those are UFOs. But if you don't use the term, you've already thrown it out with the baby with the bathwater. It's just that simple. But the bottom line is, after we talked, I said, you work in a particular place that has this data? And he said, I do. And I said, are you telling me that the United States government has the correct ascension, declination, time, place, duration, everything of every fast and slow walker, which I would refer to as a UFO if I weren't using these terms, on record? He said, we do.
For the audience,
I said, well, I'll just go down, get the information. He said, please don't do that. He said, the minute you do, he said, it'll get classified. He said, just tell me what you want. I'll get it for you.
What for the audience? What's a fast walker? What's a slow walker?
That's simply a UFO, as far as everybody else is concerned, or flying saucer, whatever you want to call it. It is an unidentified flying object that moves extremely slow, or it might not move at all, and it moves so fast that our fastest aircraft were not able to even come close to it. So that's referred to as a fast walker. The bottom line is these are not our craft. They're not Chinese craft. They're not anybody's craft that they're going to tell you about, and they may not even know themselves. But they do consider them hostile, and in some cases they actually turn off the engines on airplanes and other things, and sometimes nukes, and sometimes turn the nukes on.
Have you seen the new TV show, 2 seasons now, People of Earth?
I have not. I've just been
okay.
One knows, been so sick that I've not done much of anything in that regard. Well, and second is that my research has taken me. We'll talk about that a little later into some wonderful areas.
It's a comedy. Okay, first off, it's a comedy. But it's a comedy about an ET abduction group that gets together at this church and talks about their experiences and their abductions. And it's a TV series, and it's really funny. It is. It's fun. Derrel, you're going to watch this and go, okay, somebody's infiltrated my little group that gets together, and now they're profiting on it, and they've written this comedy because it is spot on. The subjects, how they deal with it, and the personalities involved. For you and I, we just laugh, and it's our world up there. It's great, but it's also very, very accurate. And going back to just like the FAA releasing these tapes and UFOs being in the headlines, now we've got this comedy show of all things about an abduction group that gets together at a church, right? So you should check it out. But back to your statement earlier, when it comes to the abduction phenomenon, there is something going on. We're talking about millions of people around the world that are reporting these experiences, and you had stated that you don't see it slowing down. How are the reports coming into you? Have they increased?
They have increased, actually. I was on a small radio show, nothing like yours, very small, and he said he had a big audience, which usually is just come on for me to go on the show. And I have not ceased to receive at least 10 to 15 emails a day from his audience. And these are not the same people. They're over and over and over. And this has been 3 months ago. And I was just shocked at the amount of people. And I mean, from all over, from Australia to Scotland, and of course all over the United States. But the thing that I mentioned in my presentation there was that I was building some hens, alien hens, and that these hens would be on display, and I was going to display them first at Roswell, which I will. And but I have several big surprises there. Number one is the hens are for your audience. Most of the audience, if you don't see 4 fingers or 3 fingers and a thumb and a gray hand, you think that's it. That's what the aliens are all about. That's not even close. That's only one entity. The other hands that I'm going to show there, even many ufologists are going to have a lot of problems with. Some of them have 4-inch long fingers with claws that are huge. And people, well, that's not in our literature. It is. If you actually have these people draw the feet, the hands, and the head, you'll be shocked at the stuff you're going to see. And people are so busy listening to the story, they're missing the details of the entities. I mean, the morphology of these beings is as important as the stories are. So for me, I'm putting together all these hands and everything. I'm also, hopefully, I'll have some heads done by the same time, and then we intend to have some other little surprises there as well. But all these are designed to elicit a response, a physical, visceral response from people. 55% of your communication is your physiology. 38% is the tone, pitch, and timbre of your voice. Only 7% is your words. In other words, whenever if you got 10 women in a room that have been sexually assaulted by this guy, and they see a picture of him, you're going to get, if they've really had the experience, you're going to get a visceral response from all 10 of them. And even though they say "ooh" or you've got 93% of communication without them actually saying an actual word. And that's the kind of response I think we'll get from the display.
How many? You said two hands. Where did you? Obviously, that doesn't represent everything that's coming to this planet. It could be thousands of species of ET. We don't know. But where did these two hands come from?
Well, I make it a little better. When I use the two hands as an illustration, that's what most people expect. What you're going to see is about 7 or 8 different kinds.
There's where I was going. Okay.
There you go. And then one of them is the praying mantis, which I saw when I was in the 3rd grade.
Right.
The hands on that thing, and it is just horrific to see. Everybody thinks in terms of they're just superior beings and everything. Until you've seen an insect with a head is bigger than yours.
Right.
Next to your face.
Right.
Do it with an IQ that's probably about 30, 40 points higher than most people's. You really don't have a good sense of that until you see them up close.
And right. Then there's are these hands representative of predators?
Well, thank you for asking. They're the hands of entities, in my opinion, hatched, cloned, manufactured, or made for the purpose of making us think they're aliens from other worlds. And I'm not so sure that is completely true. But even if it is, the important thing is that these entities are made to do certain jobs. They're the hands that I'm going to represent. I'll do several classes and workshops and presentations on both of the hands and what they mean, because they're not just hands of entities. That's just because I'm showing a bunch of different hands in cases, and in some cases I'll actually show photographs of the hands on cars, the imprint left on a car, on glass, and so on, crystal clear. I mean, in one case I'll actually show a mantis being in an 8x10 photograph with a gray being that he's in front of. The point is that what I want people to see in these displays is that these are not the drawn up ideals of myself or my abductees. These are actual drawings and or representations or evidence actually taken from the site so that they can actually see that there's something to this. These are not made up constructions. They're actually very, very real.
Right. And how? Okay, through the presentation, that's one thing. But here, we've got about a minute and a half. To the audience, how do they know? What are the suggestions that you can give them to determine real from something that may be terrestrial of origin, like a ghost, right? Maybe a human entity of some kind.
Very good. Very great questions. One of the things came to me this week was a gentleman who had some of the most strangest marks on his about 7 marks on his arms that looks like something that grabbed him, and it grabbed him at least twice, and left the most horrific bruises I've ever seen on a human being, and they were very sharp and very deep. So whatever it had tremendous claws on it. And if he was dreaming or made it up, he sure did a really good job. I've never seen anything like it. So the evidence is that if you think you had a dream, your abduction event, or you dreamed of this, or a giant wolf or something, large black eyes, all you have to think is look for evidence on you. And we can talk about that a little later. Evidence that actually will show up in your event if, in fact, your case is real.
That's is that waiting too long? Is that waiting too long? Is that okay? All right. I don't know if I want to have to wait for physical traces on my body. But yeah, I hear you. There may not be another way. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Derrel Sims. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Derrel, what's your Twitter handle?
Not a Twitter handle, just Derrel W. Sims at Mac.com. You can go to Alien Hunter and just click on Alien Hunter.
There you go. It's Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly Ancient Life Oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Derrel Sims, the Alien Hunter. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Soon, CB Dark. Just go to the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. Click and use the promo code F2B Blend, and you will get 15% off of your order. Now, Derrel, we were talking in the first segment about abductions, and you're saying that the numbers are increasing. What about implants? Are you seeing the same thing there, and do you have any new cases?
Well, as a matter of fact, we do. The implants are an amazing. It's an amazing subject. I think to clear up for your audience a little bit, implants are rare. I know there are people out there that will be glad to run a black light over you and tell you that the lotion that they're finding on you is a alien touch and that it's a part of the process. And the fact is that lotions and things like this and certain things on people will fluoresce, and it's not alien at all. And usually they'll tell you they've got 4, 5, 6, 10 implants and that they're nanotechnology, et cetera, et cetera. How in the world they tell you all that, not looking at anything, not surgically removing anything, is kind of a miraculous statement. So I don't buy into that. Implants are fairly rare. The things that we have, I've done 25 surgeries thus far. The last one I conducted was in India. In fact, we broke that news on your show.
That's right.
The fascinating thing is that lady in India now is ready for me to come back to India to remove 2 more implants. And to my shock and amazement, the surgeon who was involved in this in India, we never told him anything. It didn't take him a while to figure this out. He says, when you come back to India, he said, would you please let me remove these others? He said, I think they're even more exciting than the ones we removed today.
Wow.
And I said, well, the ones we removed today, I said, I assure you they wanted us to find. The other 2 they didn't expect I'd find. They're deeper in the body. And so,
Derrel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are we still there?
Yeah,
Okay.
you dropped out for a second. So you're saying that the numbers are on the rise, but implants are rare.
The implants are very rare, and that people should be a little skeptical every time they see something in their body or hear something that, the doctor found this little bump or lump or whatever. It doesn't make it an implant. There are lots of things that can happen to people and do happen to people that don't make them implants. Implants, generally speaking, 99. People can go get an X-ray if they have this lump or bump or scar or whatever. They think an implant's there. Go to your, actually go to a chiropractor and ask them for an X-ray and get a soft tissue X-ray, and don't mention the word implant or aliens. Just say, I've got a bump here, I bumped myself, and I'd like an X-ray, and then pay them $20, $30, $40, wherever they charge, and then send the X-ray to me, and I will look at it for you. But by and large, we've got a new surgeon, by the way, who's a specialist and also an engineer at the same time. So this is really fascinating for us. So he will do our implant surgeries here in the United States and is an engineer on top of that. So I'm very excited about that.
Why is it, through your experience, that implants are behind the ear or, on the arms? What's the significance of that?
Well, the fact is that the truth of the matter is that implants can be found in different parts of the body. And I'll have this give you a little more information about that. First of all, when Roger Lear, when I asked him to partner up with me on this in 1996, 95, 96, he went out and printed a book that says implants are all on the left side of the body. I said, why did you say that? He said, because that's every one of them you've shown me are on the left side. I said, Roger, that's the only ones I've shown you. There's some on the other side. What? I said, then there are implants in the middle, from the head all the way down to the scrotum. In fact, I called a guy today and asked him about this. Has he ever had an unusual growth or lump in your scrotum that you have no idea why it was there? And he said, yes, I did. And I said, what was the result of that? He said, well, it just finally disappeared. And I said, okay, did you notice anything different to you psychologically? He said, yes, I experienced sexual dysfunction for about a year. And I said, that is very consistent with a testicular implant. So I didn't want him to know that until he told me about his circumstance. But the fact is, these objects can be found any different part of the body. But what we found that seems more interesting is that the meridians in the body are where you're going to find these objects located.
What about,
if that makes any sense?
Well, and I was just going to ask this, and it popped up in Twitter. It's kind of weird. What about nerves? Are implants located near the nervous system?
Well, nerves are all over the body, so the answer is yes. But the question is, I think, are more nerves attached to or joined to the implants? And the answer would be yes. And I'll see if I can give this to your audience in a little better detail. In 1994, before we ever did any public surgeries at all, I was asked to speak at a John Muir Medical Hospital for 250 surgeons, doctors, and nurses and others in a continuing education program about implants, alien implants in specific. And it was called the Medical Complications of Alleged Human-Alien Contact, implants. And in that presentation, I made these predictions. I said, ladies and gentlemen, if these objects, in fact, are alien in origin, there will be no chronic or acute inflammatory cells around the object or inside the encasement if they are encased, which they were. And, of course, the doctor didn't like that statement because if you have a splinter or something like that, it gets inflamed.
Right.
The body either rejects it, coats it, hides it, or extracts it, gets it out of there. The second thing I told him, there will be nerve cells present that will be inappropriate to the affected area. Third, if these objects are alien in origin, the objects will be absent of discernible technology. Fourth, the metallic, plastic, or ceramic implants that we already have are passé from 5 to 50 years old, and they're out of date.
Wow.
You should have seen the look on those doctors' faces when I made those statements.
Yeah, and out of the 25 surgeries that you have done, how many of those proved to be an alien implant?
That depends on one's definition. For instance, to be an alien implant to a scientist, it has to be, and even then it might not be that, but it has to at least be extraterrestrial in origin. Well, in their first surgery, 2 surgeries, the 4 objects, 3 out of a woman and 1 out of a man's hand, turned out to be rare meteorites from the Widman-Stoughton structure meteorite, according to Los Alamos, New Mexico labs, which did a qualitative and a quantitative analysis on them. The second thing that was very important to me was one of the predictions I made that the nerve cells present around these objects would be inappropriate to the affected area, and that there would be no signs of chronic or acute inflammatory cells around the object. Well, Roger Lear didn't believe in any of the stuff. He thought it is all made up and is a bunch of bunk. He came back to me the next day, and he said the report's in from the pathology, and he said there are no chronic or acute inflammatory cells around the biological cocoon that house these objects. And the pathologist looked at me and said, that's impossible. I said, that's what we want to hear. That's impossible on the biology, and that's impossible on the fact that these things are rare meteorites from outer space stuck inside a human's body in a perfect T formation, hidden in a biological cocoon that probably comes from the scoop mark on their own body.
How close did these individuals live to each other?
These 2 individuals lived in 2 separate cities, never met each other,
right?
And in actuality, the lady didn't like the guy at all. And what's fascinating is the next in 3 weeks at the Houston UFO Network here in Houston, at my UFO organization, the Houston UFO Network, the lady from that first surgery was coming forward, public now. She's going to let us film the whole thing. She said, I'm retired and I don't care. And she's going to tell us things about her abduction account that's going to be fascinating, which I already know, but the most important part is she's going to find out things about her abduction account that her and the other man had in unison, together in their events that she didn't even know about, even to this day, 20 years later.
What about, this is fascinating. Now, are you, okay, I want to understand here. These two individuals came forward, did know each other, lived in separate cities, but had pieces of meteorite implanted on them. And from the same meteorite, I don't even know how that's possible. Did they, was there a coincidence that they were at the same site? Did they fall down on the ground? What parts of the body were they implanted in? I'm trying to think, I'm trying to be devil's advocate here, because that is a bizarre coincidence. That's way beyond numbers.
It was everything that I could hope for based on my predictions to these doctors the year before. And it was confirmed by the laboratories at Los Alamos and Mexico Tech, and then confirmed by pathologists in the medical end, none of which knew these were alien implants. They had no clue. We did not tell them.
What part of the body?
The part of the body that these came from the woman was on top of her foot, the top of her large toe.
Okay.
In other words, it wasn't at the end; it was on top of at the base of the toe, with where the bone was. And the man, his was in the back of his hand. How he found his was he was in Brazil. He'd injured himself in a car wreck, and he got an X-ray, and he noticed at one part of the X-ray got the part of his hand. He said, "Well, what's that?" And the doc says, "Oh, nothing. It's one of those things. Don't worry about it. It's like moonburn. Don't worry about it." So he didn't. And then after he heard my show, an interview with this lady, he came forward and said, "I would like to submit myself to this as well." And I took both of them at my own expense out to California for surgery, and paid for the meds, everything, every detail. None of these people have ever paid for any of their things. I either beg, borrow, steal, or pay for myself, them to get the work done on them, because I know their stories are real. I was there in my own event in 1960 at age 12 in my own abduction event getting an implant. I know this stuff is real. I was awake when the event occurred. I've never had hypnosis for any of these events. I know my event was true, and I know the other people's are too. So these two people one had an object in the back of his hand. The lady had 3 in the back of her foot, one of them in a perfect T, capital T formation, and one off to the side, 45-degree angle, all wrapped in these biological cocoons that were made from a keratinous material, which the pathologist said it's impossible for that to happen inside the body.
The chances of, because you and I, when we were kids, we never put on shoes, right? We're running around barefoot,
correct?
And so I get that. On the bottom of the foot, you say you've got an implant. Chances are that's the leftover rusty nail you stepped on when you were a kid and you got your tetanus shot and whatever. Okay, so I get that part. But when we're dealing with the backs of shoulders or the back of your ear, the back of your hand, these locations, I just find that hard to explain how they got there unless they were placed.
Well, by the same token, to go at this a little further, the objects were not in the bottom of her foot, but on top.
Right.
Near the bone. And they apparently had not migrated. She has a clear understanding of the abduction account when it happened, and he has a clear account. And he told me his event. He said, I lived on a farm when I was a little boy, and I said, I walked out, I sensed something, and this is common to the abductees. He left and got up in the middle of the night, walked out in the field, and he said, I saw a sphere about the size of a bowling ball in slow motion moving toward the ground. And it hit the furrowed ground. The soil had been plowed up by his dad, and it made a little puff of dust when it hit the ground, and it was spinning. And he said, at that point, I realized I shouldn't be seeing this. And he said, I started to run away, and the object exploded and blew the object in the back of my hand. And I listened to his story, and I said, this is what I do for UFO people, but for others as well. And I said, that's not what happened. He said, I just told you what happened. I said, no, sir, you told me what you think happened.
Right.
He said, well, how do you know that didn't happen? I said, well, if an object got blown in the back of your hand, like in a spatter effect from a hand grenade or a metal hot piece of metal gets blown in the back of your hand, it leaves an inflammatory process and a scar and a point of entry. None of which you have.
Right. And you mentioned earlier, I want to go back to this. You mentioned earlier about implants being placed in the scrotum, men's private parts. What about females and their private parts? Have there been... I'm just trying to keep this clean. It's still a family show. But what about...
Certainly. In women's cases, we have heard of women claiming that something was attached to them, but there's no evidence. I have no evidence of that in women so far. The closest thing I can give you that I consider the worst implant that it was ever placed on a human being is where women are given an artificial insemination by the alien entity.
Right.
And I know for a fact that people say, well, that's all crazy, and they were pregnant, they just didn't know what they were doing. But the fact is, I have sonograms of a woman, and this was studied by a fetal hospital, in the best fetal hospital I know of in England, by two of the finest doctors they had, and they both agreed they had no idea what the thing was, with a large bulbous head and a long pointed chin inside the woman. That it was a fetus that was growing inside the woman. And this is not the only case. I have a case right in Houston at a major hospital where 5 nurses and a patient, all in a controlled environment now. This is a glassed-in environment. They can't get in or out. And the patient is a lesbian woman. The reason I've mentioned the word lesbian is not to attack anyone's sexuality or anything like that, but simply to make an important notation here in the case. All of them ended up pregnant that night from abduction.
Right.
Every one of them.
Right.
Including the comatose female lesbian woman. All of them. And I met the daughter of one of the nurses the other day. This is like 15 years ago. And I just met her daughter.
You said keratin earlier. Are you talking about plant material?
No, when I say keratin, I mean keratinous material is stuff like your fingernails is made of keratin.
Right.
Hair is made of keratin. And your surface skin is keratin. Now, for keratinous material to be buried deep inside the body in a perfectly hard cocoon, it's not going to happen. It's impossible. That's what the pathologist was arguing.
Right. How does that happen? I mean,
it doesn't.
Right.
A wonderful statement was made by a Nobel laureate, and he told me, he said, Mr. Sims, if you can replicate this process of this keratinous material being a non-inflammatory response inside the human body, if you can replicate that in the laboratory, you may have a Nobel laureate find. And I said, well, sir, I said, thank you for that wonderful piece of information. I said, I was born in Texas, and I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. What laboratory do you trust that I should send this to with that information? He said, not one.
You can't. You can't. And
they'll steal everything you got.
That's right. That's right. The stuff that you have now, the evidence that you have, I'm sure that it is, hermetically sealed and all that stuff. But how safe is it?
Well, it's hidden in a bunker far beneath the location where you're at currently. I'm just kidding.
It would be safe here, no doubt. But yeah, is it in a safe place? And have you ever had any anything strange happen where individuals have come back to get their material, either ET or Men in Black for that matter?
Well, we've had I had a situation up in Washington State where I went to a conference there, and I was allowed to stay at the home of an individual, and they were home watching for someone else, and they said, my home's vacant right now, and you're welcome to stay there. And I said, well, that'd be better than buying a hotel. And so I stayed there, and that night, it's the only time I've ever actually known this was going to happen. I can sense when they're near. I can, if any abductee that's coherent and awake and gets it, they can sense when they're coming, and it freaks you out. And I knew they were coming that night, and I knew specifically why. There was something in the box that I had that they wanted, and I stayed awake for all the night until I knew that they were no longer coming, and so they were not present. In other words, and that's the only time that I actually had them, quote unquote, to do that. But I will say this for your audience: most people who know me, and I should give this little caveat. I think I am the alien hunter. I hunt them that hunted me for 13 years. And then later they hunted my own little boy, my son. That turned me literally from the prey to the predator.
Right.
I used to be terrified terrified of these guys. I used to be scared of them, but now I'm not. And you can train yourself. You can actually overcome the stuff. You can become so effective at it that the alien, in many cases, will not even want to deal with you simply because you're no longer cooperative. Their terms, not mine.
Yeah, or fun. Right.
Yeah.
Now,
no longer easy prey.
No longer easy prey. I don't know if we know in a general sense what these implants are used for, but I would suspect that some of them are tracking devices or partial. That's one of their functions. And wouldn't ET know where these are at?
Okay. First of all, I'm gonna again. I don't know everything, so I could be wrong. But my basic knowledge of this phenomena since 1960, and to date, for the ones that we're doing after doing 25 surgeries, so I probably know a few things about them. They're not tracking devices. They're not transponders. It's easier to describe what they're not. They're not those things. And the reason people ask me, well, I have an implant in my neck and it's a tracking device. So how do you know that? Well, it has to be. Well, how do you know that though? Tell me what causes you to know that. Well, it must be. No, must be is not the answer. Must be is it's often an emotional thought about it. It has to be something something I can understand. The fact is that they already knew where you were at when you got it. It wasn't an accident that they found you.
Right.
They knew where you were at. They knew where your grandmother was at and your grandpa and others. It's in your family lineage. They know where you're at. And they don't need it. Most people don't have implants, and they still know where abductees are at. So what are they for? Now we go to from what we think they're not, and into what they may be. One of the things they may be for is, and because some of the abductees admit this, and so we find some of this stuff out kind of inadvertently, such as some of these things are in fact seem to affect neurotransmitters, neurofunctional neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine. These neurotransmitters, if altered in any way, can cause, to use the words of one psychologist that was very effective in this particular field of pharmacology. She said, Mr. Sims, if what you're saying is true, whoever runs your neurotransmitters runs you. They run you mentally, physically. They decide whether you're happy, sad, or even suicidal. They decide what your life is going to be like. And I said, in my opinion, I said, that would be a correct description. I said, you're the doctor, you tell me. But these are things that we hear from people, and we feel like that they're true. They're attached to main nerve supplies. So, and they're in this hard biological containment that's not supposed to be there. In my opinion, the keratin material is literally, it's from the surface skin, all right. And the reason your body doesn't reject it is because it's your own skin. It's from a scoop mark.
Right.
On you.
Right.
And it's wrapped in there. And that makes more sense to me than some of these other things.
Oh, man, that creeps me out more than if it was like...
It does.
Yeah, alien metal. I'm cool with that. But not us. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Derrel Sims on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. More with Derrel right after the short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi folks, what can I say without making claims? CBD is truly the buzzword for health. What does it do? Government institutions will not allow me to say what this wonderful oil does for us. But I can say it's non-GMO and organic. I can say it's 0.003 THC, which in plain English means you won't get high. There are those that want to squash your freedom to buy natural products. Fight back with your purchase power. In the end, it is you that takes care of your health. Go to ancientlifeoil.com. One more time, ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Derrel Sims, and this segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Numana Food Storage. Made in the USA. No GMOs, GMO-free, MSG-free. Just use the promo code Jimmy. Every order over $100 gets you an autographed Fade to Black T-shirt. Derrel, do you have an autographed Fade to Black T-shirt?
I don't, and I'm sitting here crying. I just don't know why I don't have one.
You have a Fade to Black shirt.
I do.
Okay. It's just not autographed. Why?
It just had not your autograph.
What kind of schmo wouldn't sign a shirt for you?
I just don't know. I can't imagine. It's beyond my understanding.
Man, and you've been a guest in our home. How rude.
That's correct.
How rude. Okay, Derrel, DNA. I just watched a really cool movie. It's called Annihilation. I don't know if you've seen it, but you should check it out because it deals with alien DNA. And major release, really well done, but it dealt with alien DNA differently than a very original script, a very original book that this came from. But alien DNA, you've done a lot of research into this area. What have you been finding out?
One of the things we've been finding out in the alien phenomena, and we've got, and I have to back up just a little bit. We have several objects that we want to study, and I hate to even bring this up, but that's just the way it is. We have what may be about 15 samples of fluorescence. We have a couple of samples of something that appears to be reportedly the skin of an alien scratched from underneath the fingernail of an individual.
Right.
And if that is true, we may have the first cataloged references of the aliens. And the reason I want to get the samples of fluorescence done is because if we start finding in this fluorescence a pattern, we're going to find out that grays probably have certain kind of gray has a certain type of fluorescence and so on and so on. I think that's true for a lot of reasons, and but anyway, it just takes money to do this stuff, and I've just, especially since these surgeries and everything else. I mean, everything that I've medically that's happened to me in the last 3 months has been it's right at $150,000. So I mean, it's just it's sunk our boat a little bit. So we're just a little slow on stuff right now. But the bottom line is the hands that I keep talking about. Those hands are not just different hands on different entities. They represent different programs on you. You're part of a program, and the coloration of the fluorescence on those hands that I'm going to show as well affects people. Now I'm going to give you a best and a worst case scenario. Best case scenario is many of these people with a gray alien, if you check yourself with a black light at 267 nanometers, you're going to find if he's touched you and physically held you and so on, around the wrist as an example, you're going to find fluorescence on your wrist in the form of fingers. Usually you'll find it in the form of bruisings, but if not, you'll find a fluorescence where he actually touched you. He leaves a sweat-like material that exudes from him and penetrates your skin subdermally on contact. What that simply means is you can't wash it off. If you can, don't call me, because it's not alien. 2, worst case scenario. I have 5 people, and this is the first show I've told us on. This is hand of God. 5 people in my abductees, and they're all contactees. Every one of them, not abductees, contactees. In other words, they think the contact was meaningful, useful, wonderful, or whatever. Every one of those 5 people with that exact same coloration of fluorescence, not the green, something totally different, I won't even mention it, ended up, and again, I'm not picking on anybody sexually or anything, because I don't do that. This is just, it's informational. That's all this is. Every one of these people with that particular fluorescence, and I examined one of them in in a UFO meeting in the last time I spoke, the night you introduced me.
Right.
In that meeting,
right,
the man I was examining, he was the last one that got a sexual sexual reassignment. In other words, you may be you may be male or female, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But when that program is finished, you won't be.
Wow.
For some bizarre reason, you will change your mind. And every one of these people walk away from their family. One in Washington State, I could just list them one after another. LA, two of them in LA, one of them is in the FX program in movies. I can just name them one after another. All 5 of these people went for, and I don't care if people want to do sexual reassignment, that's their business. It's just that it ought to be your decision, not somebody else's.
Right. Wow, that's fascinating. That's
the program they're in.
That's fascinating. You've mentioned, okay, I want to stay on DNA before I get to fluorescence. I want to talk about that in just a second. DNA, it was, I don't know if you caught this, but it was written up in a published journal last week. 33 scientists came to the conclusion that octopusi, I don't know, what's the plural? Those eggs came to this planet from somewhere else. And we don't know how they got here, but that they just appeared 250 million years ago out of nowhere with the ability to change skin color. We all know that, right? Camouflage.
Sure.
They're some of the most intelligent beings on this planet. We've known that for we've known that for quite a while. But the octopus is completely on its own when it comes to a species here. You know, you can look at a cow and say, okay, 4 legs. You can look at a dog and say 4 legs. You can look at a cat and say 4 legs, or a horse or a deer. Things look similar, right? And then you can look at monkeys and chimpanzees and humans and see the similarity of things. Fish, right? Not the octopus. The octopus is the only thing like the octopus. So there's alien DNA right there before we even stop to suggest that this is something that can't be possible. It certainly is. So when we're talking about alien DNA, our DNA could have been altered or adjusted by ET many times over the years, couldn't it?
That is a definite thought that a number of people have. And concerning the octopus, a little further, I'm a diver, so octopus are fascinating to me to begin with. But one of the most interesting things of the octopus is that he has one of the most best developed eyes. And for it to be evolved, scientists will tell you it's impossible.
Right.
There's not enough time for that to happen. It just doesn't make any sense. And when you come into these type creatures, octopus, and they're unique in every sense of the word. But concerning the alien DNA, possibly, a study was done on Bigfoot here in Texas, and the study, there was a number of samples that were sent to these people up in Nacogdoches to a lady scientist there. And some people begged me to send some samples that I had, and I said, no, I'm not interested. And they said, please do. And so I said, well, I'll write them just to be sociable and to do the right thing. And I wrote the lady and I said, I'm not a Bigfoot investigator, although we have seen Bigfoot in some of our events. One of them on a massive craft, 50 miles thick and 600 miles across. In fact, all the entities were present, all 7 flavors of those entities were present with him in the same time, in the same event, witnessed by all these people. I said, as far as your evidence, if you would like, I will send you hair samples from so-called Bigfoot that have been examined by the University of Washington, by my research assistant, Mary Flory. She was in the primate program there of age research. And anyway, I'll send those. I'll send some samples over. urine sample from an adolescent and a fingernail from an adolescent Bigfoot. Well, of course, I knew right off the bat she didn't believe a word I was saying.
Right.
I mean, not one word. I mean, all this evidence and all these Bigfoot guys out there on Bigfoot TV can't find anything, and you're sitting there with it. And I've been doing this for a long time, and just because I'm not a Bigfoot researcher doesn't mean I don't have any evidence. So anyway, they said, thank you, we have enough. I said, well, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'll just keep mine. So I just hung up, and that was it. The point being that what they found in their study is that Bigfoot is definitely a simian. He's an ape-like creature, no question. But the problem is he apparently didn't evolve. If he did it real fast because he's got modern... The mitochondrial DNA is a female, obviously, woman of modern descent. Not ancient. Modern. She has been, think of him as hatch, clone, manufacturer, made for the purpose of interaction with mankind, just like the others.
Well, when you say modern, are we talking 100,000 years, 150,000 years, 35,000 years?
It was modern in the sense of the word. It was not Cro-Magnon or anything like that. It was. So how do you get modern woman DNA mixed into that? And it appears that it was... again, cloned or hatched or manufactured in a genetic way. If the story is true, and I think that it is, it seems to be very, very well documented. It's absolutely fascinating. But if you look at all the aliens, if you look at the reptile, where in the world would you get if you're going to make an alien, quote unquote? Let's just say we're going to make some. If I was going to make a reptile alien, and there are some, where would you get reptile DNA from? Probably not Venus, probably not Jupiter, but Earth's got plenty of reptiles, every kind of reptile you can imagine. If you look at the humanoid, the so-called Nordic, where would you get human DNA from? Not Mars, not Pluto.
Right.
Probably planet Earth. And when you look at all the others and you look at the praying mantis, where do you get praying mantis DNA from? Probably not the moon. Right here. Earth is the DNA factory for the programs that are being run. And some of those programs are making, hatching, cloning, or manufacturing these entities to interact with us. And the DNA comes from here. Some of my native buddies, some of my medicine men buddies, two of them in particular say, well, these are the ant people and the Greys and so on. I said, I'm not knocking your terminology. I'm just telling you that you're using the description of they come from here inside the earth.
Right.
And if you look at the oldest pictographs of these guys on the walls, 1,000 years old, they have antenna on their heads. You're just looking at a newer version today.
That's right. And if a geneticist had this information, would they go public with it? Do you think they would discuss it with their friends or family? They're noticing.
I'm talking to several people in universities right now, and they would talk. They do talk about it a little bit among themselves, but generally speaking, it's a career ender if you get caught in the wrong conversations.
Well, because, they're looking at all kinds of DNA all the time. And you're going back not only with animals and other species and plants, for that matter, but when you're looking at humans, Homo sapiens, and you're chasing back DNA, and you're seeing strange things there that don't make sense unless... somebody is, there's a program going on. There's some snip, something going on with genes and chromosomes and altering DNA, but they can't really say anything about it. I mean, you're right, a career ender.
If I were them, I would not do that. And I have literally, I was on a program one night and years and years ago, and I got 200 phone calls and 600 emails in a period of weeks. And I just couldn't. I was just overwhelmed with all this. And one guy called me, and I said, "Listen to me carefully." I said, "I'm ex-CIA. I know you work at a listening post. I know the kind of work that you do, and I'm telling you, the things that you do are far above my pay grade. But I can tell you this right now: you need to hang the phone up, get off the phone immediately. Stop talking to me." I said, "They're not watching me. They're watching who's calling me.
Right.
They don't care about me. They care about the people in their business that is listening to me." He said, "But I'm an abductee." I said, "I understand that, and God bless you, and I want to help you. You're going to lose your career, and you may lose more than that if you don't hang the phone up now. It's for your own good. It's not about me. It's about you. It's about your family. Hang the phone up now." And he finally did. It broke my heart to tell him that, because I've never turned down any abductee or contactee who wanted help. But I'm telling you, a cryptologist worked for me at one time as the true story, hand of God. And I wanted to have some fun one night on a radio program, so I started throwing out some intelligence lingo, just little snips here and there. Nobody would ever have caught it unless, of course, they were in it.
Right.
I'm telling you, the next morning, my cryptologist called me, and he cussed me out. And I said, "Don't you talk to me like that." He said, "What in the blankety blank you doing on that program?" And blah, blah, blah. And I said, I just wanted to see who's listening. He said, "Well, I got news for you. Somebody was listening. We got 250 hits." I said, "That's all?" He said, "From the intelligence community." He said, 3 of the computers were in the White House, NSA computers. Don't do it again.
Give me one of the
Well, how
words.
do you know? He said, "What do you think my job was?"
I know, right? What was one of the words? Give me one now. Let's test.
Well, this is a very easy one, and it's a word that other people, because if they've read enough, they will know. But the term witting, when I use the term a witting individual, if you're witting and you're in the company, it means that you are not only aware, but you are also cleared for that. You know what I'm talking about. If I say that you have an A badge as an example, or a C badge, or a T badge, and you're witting, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Really? What's an A badge?
Oh, absolutely.
What's an A badge?
Well, I can tell you, but I'd have to kill myself.
An A badge. And this is for the company. This is for the CIA.
That's correct.
A T badge. Man, I got to find out. I'm going to find out. Okay.
You'll probably get some interesting calls from somebody. I mean, there'll be people that'll try to help you out.
And
the one here's the fun part of it. I was on a radio program one night many years ago, and a guy called in and said he was CIA, and I said, "Well, where'd you take all your training?" And he said he was a spy, and I said, "Well, what's the formal term?" He didn't know. That's what it's a NOC, non-official capacity. I said, nobody's going to identify you.
Right.
It means you're witting, but you're not. You're never going to. Nobody's going to give you up, and so on. And anyway, so this guy says, "Yeah, that's what I was." I said, "Okay, where'd you take your training?" He said, "Quantico." I said, "You took all your spy training at Quantico?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, okay." I said, "Well, that's not where the spy school is at."
What?
I said, "So why don't you just tell me the names and the numbers of the buildings that are there?" He started making up numbers. I said, "There is no such number. There is no such building like that. You were never there." And I said, "That's why I think people ought to be vetted before they start coming on these programs, telling everybody, 'I have the 19th level of clearance, far superior to anything you've ever had in your entire life,' and they can't even tell you where they took their training."
What's a SPCAT?
Excuse me. What my throat's going here. Once again, please.
SPECAT. SPECAT. It's an acronym. And what's funny is somebody just asked me what it is, so I'm looking it up online. Pretty interesting in that nobody's got a there's a lot of searches for the meaning of SPECAT. Specialized material, secret material.
Listen. There are clearances that are I have a top secret clearance improvable on my DD Form 214, which means if I faked it, that's a felony, a federal felony for me to fake that document. And so I'm not going to jail, so I didn't fake anything. But my clearance was top secret in 1968. There are clearances that are so high now, like what you're talking about. There are about a dozen of them, but above mine. And it is so compartmentalized. Listen, there are people that show up at some of these meetings that are not United States citizens in any way, shape, or form. They don't have our clearances. But they show up at some of these meetings, and they are definitely witting to the program, and their names on the list to allow them in. But you don't know who they are, and you know that they're not American citizens.
Yeah, and a NOC, NOC, a NOC, if you are a NOC, it is your job not to be seen. You're a librarian.
You are a real spy.
Yeah, you're a real spy. You're working for a You're living in
for instance, like people use this stupid statement that say, well, you're a CIA agent. The CIA agent is either one of two people. You're either witting or unwitting. An unwitting person is a CIA agent is someone who is used by the CIA and doesn't know it.
Right.
A witting person is someone who does know it, but doesn't actually work for the company, but they're getting paid by the company. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does.
In other words, okay. And so you're not a CIA agent is not a spy. A case officer is a CIA spy. He's a NOC. He may be in from the cold, or he may be out in the field. But the point is, that's his job, and uncovering him is a serious offense. And in fact, you're going to see some of that happen probably in the very near future in some of these congressional investigations. Some of these people being outed. It's a serious mistake to do.
Yeah, and you don't have any ties to any governments if if they do attempt to blow your cover. Non-official capacity, right? There's nothing tying you there.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. It's a very ingenious part of the intelligence community. Those NOCs and not NARC. That's what they call NARCs in Boston.
Not NARC.
Yeah, it's what they call NARCs in Boston. I'm a NOC. I'm a knock. All right, when we come back, we're going to take a break right here. We didn't get a chance. We're going to get into alien fluorescence. We're going to talk about that, and I want to talk about the good and the bad ETs out there and what we can also do about that. It's a very fascinating conversation, as always, tonight, Derrel, and I want to thank you for that, and we'll take a quick break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Derrel Sims, the alien hunter. More with Derrel right after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation. and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
What can I say about the most popular tea on the internet? And what do customers say about Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? A lot. But by federal law, we at GetTheTea.com cannot make claims to how this product can enhance your health. We cannot even post our testimonies without being in compliance. So how do we get past the hump? Try our products at GetTheTea.com and see for yourself. You can send us a testimony, but we just can't post it. Bummer. Our products are GMO-free and organic. We pride ourselves in being the best we can be, and we urge you to take charge of your health. We're 11 years strong, and many of our customers have shared their successes with friends and family. Protect your colon. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Derrel Sims. Segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Bearing Optics. Bearing Optics. Go and see your very own green chrome balls. That's right. I know I do. Derrel, do you ever go and find your own green chrome balls?
I certainly haven't lately. I haven't been looking. Tell me what that means.
Yeah, night vision. You know, when you go out and...
Yes. Good.
It's absolutely incredible. We work with a company called Bearing Optics, and they make, the best, and they make a little Jimmy Church model, too, as well. And for everybody out there that wants to go and get your own set of night vision binoculars, contact Alec Hoffman. His links are right there in the banners at jimmychurchradio.com. Just tell him you're a Fade or Not. He's a Fade or Not, and he'll point you in the right direction. Yeah, there is nothing like a really fun sky watch. Man, I just love it. Alien fluorescence. Now, you know what I think of every time I hear it mentioned, especially from you, I go back to Dr. Strangelove and what's his name on the bass?
when he's talking about fluorescence, and it's pretty funny. Well, anyway, not the same thing here, though. What is alien fluorescence?
Alien fluorescence is something I discovered in 1992. We were working with a lady whose husband was going through some difficulties, and she was no question an abductee. Very high class lady, very aristocratic. The best way to to describe that. And in the course of asking her questions, I said that, may I check your exposed skin, arms, neck, and so on. And she said, for what? And I said, I just sense that there's something we're missing. And I want to check you with this black light. And I did. And I found what looked like a Mandelbrot set on the inside of her arm. A Mandelbrot set is a mathematical fractal. It looks kind of like a heart, like a cardioid. And it's a fractal. The particular fractal we were looking at, a Mandelbrot set, the center of it is considered safety or peace, so to speak, the least action, and outside is where all the fractals begin from there and come. All the other Mandelbrots will come from there, and so philosophically, people say, "Well, I want to be in the middle because that would be the safest." I said, "Yeah, but that's not where the action's at." I said, it'd be nice if you could have both. You could be centered there, but be where the action's at. I said, to me, that's where you're going to learn everything in life. You got to be out there. You can't be hiding. So the fluorescence we found on her was a particular color, and it was the color that we described with these other 5 people that had the. It has a very heavy sexual connotation to it when that fluorescence shows up on these people, and the entity in charge had done some pretty horrific things to this woman, so much so that she brought a therapist present to the sessions where my senior investigator would work with her. Because she would often access memories that were so horrific that they would literally have to haul her off in an ambulance. So finally, the investigator said, "I've gone as far as I can with her. Please come work with her." And so I said, "Okay." And I went there and I sat next to her and I picked up her arm and said, "I'm not flirting with you or anything." I said, "I'm just I'm kinesthetic. I'm going to see if I can figure out anything about you." And she said, "Oh, okay." And the therapist sitting there watching, so was the other people. And long story short, I asked her, I said, "Tell me about yourself." And she says, I'm really ugly. And I said, "In case you haven't looked in the mirror lately, you're probably one of the most beautiful women that anyone in this room has seen in a long, long time." And she said, "No, I'm not. I'm ugly." And what had happened is the entity had changed her internal representations of herself. And the best way to describe it, because I had her access it, it's like in the person touching an electrical current, and it contorts your face to the ugliest thing you can imagine. And that's exactly what her face turned to, and he showed her that. He said, "That's what you really look like. This is what you really are." And she believed every bit of it, and still to this day, even though she's beautiful. So, and the pain was so severe, of course, the therapist was ready to call the ambulance and said, wait a minute. It's all right, I'm a hypnotic anesthesia therapist. I can handle this. I said, "Would you like for me to make the pain go away?" And she was crying. She said, "Please, God, please help me." And I did. And she was shocked that I could do that. And I said, "Now, the important thing is that you saw the skill. Now you're going to learn the skill, and then I'm going to show you how to practice the skill, and I'm going to show you how to use it without me, because you don't need me. But this is all programming, young lady." And I said, "There isn't anything they can't do to us that we can't undo, in my opinion." And anyway, she never had those physical problems again. Never had a therapist come with her. The therapist lost her job. It's really funny. But the horrific part of it was the fluorescence that I found on her, and it's a very powerful color that's used for to deal with people on a very sexual, a very private level.
Is it collectible?
I have taken samples of about 15 samples of fluorescence on abductees so far, and we're hoping that what we will find in these tests, if we do the test, that we're hoping that the particular type of entities, like the gray alien with the little four fingers and the opposing thumb, we think that's going to be a particular color. We think the other fluorescence that you're going to see on some of these other hands, particularly the one with the sexual stuff involved,
right?
It's going to be something different, but it's going to be discernible. I think this is where this is going, honestly, dude. And I think it's going to tell all about the program, and it's going to show us things we never knew about the alien. And we'll have the first catalog of DNA evidence of literally the DNA fingerprints of each of these entities.
Could the fluorescence, the samples, could that be a type of fingerprint?
In my opinion, it is. Yes.
You know, a unique
so
signature.
Right.
Yeah. Like a fingerprint, unique chemical composition, possibly DNA too as well.
Well, Richard Hoagland told me at one time in Roswell. We were in Roswell a long time ago, and he and some of his people met with my people, and we all discussed. And he told me that fluorescence. He said he's kind of a blunt guy, and I like him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he won the Angstrom Award, and I mean, you don't do that by being stupid. And so, anyway, he said the fluorescence it's a gift. I said, how do you know? And he says it's a gift to you, and it's a signature. That's he said it's an energy signature. And I said, what if it's not? And he said, well, it is. And I said, well, if you don't mind me saying so, you haven't seen it, and I have. I probably have a bigger clue about it than you do. That's its chemical signature. And we argued about that back and forth. And I said, well, I guess the testing will prove it up one way or the other. But he was very certain that in fact, was a gift. And bringing that up, the reason I think your audience ought to know this, I'm pretty hard on the alien, generally speaking. I mean, I'm not interested in the ones that are out to save the planet and fix things on hold and all that, because I never met any of them. But I have met some of the other guys that are pretty horrific and do some awful things to people. And some of the programs they run are just horrible. The point being that in the mass abduction December 8th and December 11th, 1992, a double mass abduction of 8 people taken aboard a craft 50 miles thick, 600 miles across. In that abduction, a lady was comforted, fasten your seatbelt, by a reptilian alien. And he did this in a way that no one else would see him. And she said, why would he do that? And that's, well, it could be good cop, bad cop, but I don't sense that at all. Based on everything she told me, I said, I think he's part of a fifth column. And she said, what do you mean? I said, a fifth column is someone that's inside but doesn't agree with the programs for whatever reason. And I said, I have news for you. I said, the first implants that I found in these 2 people, I think that I was led exactly to it. I was spoon-fed to find it. And I think he may have been part of that fifth column that made that happen.
There was so much talk today, and I understand why, but that ET is here to help us. We haven't been attacked yet. There's been no wars. You know, if they wanted to devastate the planet and take it, they would have, and they haven't. So, and it sounds good. That's a good story, and I don't have any issues with that. Then you have the other side, the extremes, where they don't have our best intentions. They never have in mind. There's that. There's some that out there that are in the middle, right? That there are thousands of species of ET that are coming here, and just like Earth, you have good and you have bad. Okay, so you have all of that, but you changed Like you said, you went from the hunted to the hunter. What made you
Correct.
change?
What made me change was what happened to my son at a very he literally they picked him up when he was 6 years old, and for those that don't know about my events, I'll give you the short version of it. When I was 17, my events ended violently one night. 5 entities showed up in the hallway. They kicked open the door of my room so hard that it broke the military-style lock. It was an old barracks, army barracks is what it was, converted to a house. My parents, right next door, never woke up. My dad's a light sleeper. I guarantee if he had a mouse, he'd have woke up. Never heard a thing. And 5 entities showed up in my room. 2 of them came in, picked me up, and they were unbelievably strong. None of the 5 entities were alien. The best way I've described it to people, I've never told them why or what they look like or why. And the reason I haven't is because I always get these people that walk up to me at a conference and say, "Oh yeah, me too." That's good. Start describing them. And they always say, "Oh, they were in white robes sitting at a big table." Wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You're completely wrong. These 5 entities are not part of the alien cabal. The only way I can describe them that would make sense to UFO people is that if there was a SS among the alien, it would be them.
Right.
They're the enforcers. They get things done. And anyway, the aliens absolutely terrified of them. I mean, you have no idea. It's because of our limited knowledge of the alien. We know the gray, we know the reptile, we know this, we know that, and we've been acclimated to it by people's stories. But the fact is, you still don't know the alien. All you know is what somebody told you in the story that may be a screen memory. What do you honestly know about the alien? Most people don't really know anything. In fact, most of what they do know or think they know is from stories that they heard from other people that they assume are true, and they actually don't know.
Right.
I mean, they just don't. But the fact is that what happened, the last entity that approached me was the one that was the worst. He was the one that approached that woman I told you about that told her she was so ugly.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that did that to her. I've only met 8 people in the whole UFO field that have met this particular entity. When he finishes with you, you're never going to be the same. Ever. And case in point, I barely survived him at age 17. My son met him when he was 6.
And what happened?
And anybody that thinks that, well, my son and I were walking down the street a few days later, and he's like me. He's very protective. If he sees somebody getting hurt or whatever, he just jumps in and saves them and does all kinds of things like that. Children or other children getting hurt or beat up by bullies and stuff, he'd just jump in and save them. He looked at me as we were walking down the street, 6 years old, and he said, "Dad, something's happened to me since that night." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "My consciousness has changed. I no longer care for people like I used to."
He was 6 and he said this.
I was absolutely horrified.
Wow.
So I read a little statement here. It's a couple of sentences long. It says, "I hunt them that hunted me and later hunted my son. Most UFO investigators hunt UFOs with a camera or a notebook. I hunt the pilots, and I am the alien hunter." And that's what it is. I'm looking for the pilots. I don't care about the evidence and stuff like that I get and collect. I mean, it's great, it's amazing, it's wonderful and all that, but that's not who I'm after. I want the pilot. I want them.
What did your son say next? Are you comfortable talking about it?
I'm not comfortable speaking for him, but I'm comfortable saying that that when I tell you that this being affects people's lives, I'll give you an example of another one. One lady's daughter had an interaction with him. She ended up with grand mal epilepsy and almost killed her. She is not right to this day. Another one, it is a true story, hand of God, true story. I was speaking at a conference in L.A., and a man avoided me. He went around to, all these people set up, got these stations where they set up with their stuff, and I did as well. And he avoided me for 3 days in that conference. So I'm just stacking things up at 6 o'clock at night, putting everything up on the last night. He walks over to me. It's very 6'6" black guy, really well built. I mean, he looks just like, Superman. I mean, this guy's just very handsome and everything. And he looks at me and says, "Mr. Sims?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "I've noticed you've avoided me for 3 days." He said, "Yes, sir, I have." He said, "I want to ask you a question." I said, "Yes, sir." He takes my pen and he starts drawing a picture of this. He said, "I want to know if you've ever seen this." He starts drawing the entity in my last event that no one knows. I took the pen out of his hand and finished the drawing, and he said, "Oh my God! Oh my God!" And he just ran away. 55% of your communication is your physiology. 38% is your tone, pitch, and timbre of voice.
Right. I believe that.
He didn't even get to describe him. It didn't make any difference. The visceral understanding and feelings that he had of that entity, I guarantee you, I start showing it to people that have had the event, it's the same thing. And it's just like the woman. And until I could deal with the physical effects that he had upon her, which she looked horrible. When her face contorted like that, he must have hooked her up to some kind of electronics. Just her face contorted to something really, really ugly. It just, if you ever touch anything with electronic and it contorts the muscles in your face, that's what I'm talking about. Hers was horrific, and it's an absolutely beautiful woman. But this is what he does. Destruction is what he's about. And anybody that would do that to a child or any human being, they're no friend of mine.
Well, this email just came in a couple of minutes ago before we started to talk about this, but it's called Synchronicity, right? It says, "Hi, Jimmy. Can you ask Derrel how much fear or negative emotions play in being prey for these aliens or entities? I believe I am being targeted as I have had several physical issues with my health occur, but I am not out to prove that right now. I think that I'm being proactive in fighting their advances by being brave. I need Derrel's comments, please."
Two things. One is immediately, I will help you immediately. And second is you can email me, go to alienhunter.org and click on Alien Hunter and ask anything you want. It'll automatically email me, and I answer all my emails. If for any reason I don't answer, email me again because I didn't get it for whatever reason. The bottom line is, and by return email, I'll send you self-defense methods on how to defend yourself and how to do things all kinds of ways. Number two, and this is most important to answer your question immediately. At first, I was, as I said in my statement here, initially, I used to be afraid. I'm not anymore. What? And I said, and perhaps they are, and they should be, because now it's the tables have turned. But specifically for you, here's what I did for myself, and you may find this very useful. After that event with those 5 entities, it took me probably close to 2 hours to be able to reach over and turn the light off. When I did, to turn it on. And when I did, I couldn't turn it back off until it got daylight.
Yeah, I told you it took me 10 years. I
fear beyond anything. What the bottom line is here is later I got tired of being a victim, so I simply would turn the light off. And even if I thought they were there or weren't there, it didn't make any difference. And I would overcome. I would adapt and I would overcome. I would. And it's no military term. We adapt, we modified, we overcame. That's exactly totally true. The fact is that if you do that and you keep practicing it, you actually get, and then after a while, I would start walking around in the dark, hoping something would be in there.
Not me.
Woe into them if I get them.
Not me.
And after a while, I got where I didn't care when the lights are on at all. I mean, in fact, it's empowering for the lights to go off. And so what if he shows up next to the bed? That'll be his final mistake.
Yeah. I left the lights on for 10 years and the TVs.
Thank you. I understand.
That's what
the
I
problem.
did.
I get it. I totally understand it. But until you face it down and deal with it, you'll be a victim of it.
Yeah, I know.
And I think this young man is on the right track.
Yeah, you and I have talked about this privately, but
we have.
But my way of dealing with it. It's the worst advice in the world. It's the worst advice. Yeah. But the way that I chose to deal with it was sleep with the lights on. I'm not going to do regression therapy. I don't want to know. I'm leaving the event in the past. And that's just me. I totally playing the safe card here. Sure. But man, and now what about we're at the end of the show. I almost want to keep you for a little overtime. What about a karate chop? What about a little wah wah?
We've had several people in our abduction. I have a support group as well online for those that are interested in it. But it's tough to get into. I mean, if you're not an abductee and the moderator doesn't think you are, you ain't getting in. It's that simple. It's for abductees and contactees, and it's a support group. It's about support, not about attack or about our view is bigger and better than your view.
Right.
It's about support.
Right.
So if a person chooses to deal with this to deal with it or not deal with it, either way, the fact is you're having to deal with it one way or the other. It takes. Listen to me very carefully, and I say this in with greatest respect to you because you are my friend. It takes huge amounts of energy to support fear.
Right.
Huge amounts of energy.
Right.
What could you be doing with all that energy if that was not the case?
Right.
And Einstein's theorem that E equals MC squared, that basically that nothing in the universe is destroyed; it's only altered in form.
Right. That's right.
It takes huge energy. You're creating huge energy from the fear. And listen to me very carefully. I'm going to say this, and I hope this other man's listening as well, and other people. The fear that I learned when I was 4 years old, that entity had in the room when he came in that room the first time, I had no fear of him. I was looking at him. I couldn't figure out why he didn't have a TT, why he didn't have genitalia, why he didn't have a belly button. Didn't have a belly button because he wasn't born. He was hatched, cloned, or manufactured. Like I said, he didn't have genitalia because he doesn't procreate. These are toasters. They make them by the thousands. And my point is that as he turned to me, I heard him think in his head. He said, "It's awake," and he was talking about me. I was the it.
Right.
The point is that he instantly moved his eyes in a certain way, and they were perfectly round, not the Hollywood version, not the elliptical version. And he moved his eyes in a particular way, and I instantly had fear I had never, ever known. I'm 4 years old. I don't know a whole lot. Fear that I'd never known. And that fear stayed with me for 13 years.
Why
it takes
wouldn't
huge
it?
amounts of energy.
Yes.
That fear it's them. They're transferring their fear to you. It's not even yours, and you have to maintain it.
Not cool.
Because the minute you quit doing that, the minute you become empowered and you realize I'm not a victim. You can choose to do something else, and I hope you do.
Let's take a break right here. Can I keep you over for about 10 minutes?
Of course.
Derrel Sims, the alien hunter. Let's continue this when we come back. We didn't actually. So think about your answer to that. You didn't answer my karate chop. All right, we'll do that when we come back. Our guest tonight, Derrel Sims. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Teppy. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Derrel Sims, the Alien Hunter. Yeah, always a great conversation when he's on the show with us. Doing a little overtime right now on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. And Derrel's website, the links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. You can go straight to alienhunter.org and you can reach out to Derrel. He does return his email. He returns mine. I'll say that. Derrel, how can I know that you mentioned earlier about a list of things that you can do, right? Some defense measures. And I kind of jokingly brought up, the karate chop, and little kung fu. But would you suggest something like that?
What I suggest is that if people really want to help themselves, it falls in two categories. One is, do you want to do quote unquote self-defense, or do you want to do something far bigger and far better? In other words, acquire evidence. You would be far better off to scratch that alien and get samples of his skin under your fingernails. You're gonna have more information about him than you ever are gonna get by scaring him or running him off or whatever. I ran him off, but he came back. Well, okay. So there's two ways to look at this. One lady came to me, she cried and cried and cried, and there was a commercial airline pilot with American Airlines. He was working with me at the time. He's taking hypnotherapy training. And this guy he's a good man, but he's as cold as ice. I mean, he is a perfect pilot. If everything goes wrong, he's going to be 100% cool during the flight. I mean, I don't care what happens. So he was almost in tears with this woman telling a story. You've got to help me. They said, if I give you any more information, they're going to get my children. And I said, do you think they're going to get them anyway? And she said, yes. And I said, then it kind of doesn't make any difference, does it? And I said, but in help of an abductee, which I will always do, I said, we've been getting better intel from you than we have all our abductees, period, all of them. You equal more than all of them. I said, so I hate to do this, but I'm going to. And so I gave her a specialized set of instructions in a particular way that allowed her, the next time the entity came in the room, he did about a month later, and she tore his eye cover about half off, and he ran off and freaking out and all kinds of stuff. 2 weeks later, the entity comes back. And talk about dumber than a bag of hammers.
Right.
I keep telling you, some of these guys have an IQ about 80. Right. This is dumb. You come back to the same woman and you think you're going to get a different result.
Right.
She said, I'm not very strong, so I installed my strength in her. Now, I won't go into the details of that, only the fact that she, first of all, I gave her a special set of instructions on a way to do it, and she actually called him, and he came to her, and it was really weird. He came right up next to her, and she put her arm around him and then clamped him so he couldn't get away, then reached up and grabbed his eye cover and pulled it off. Now, the reason I wanted the eye cover is because I want Freddy Krueger's hat.
Of course.
In other words, if the dream is real, bring the hat back.
Right.
So that's the reason I wanted the hat, the eye cover, because I knew it was just an eye cover anyway. I've known that since I was 4. And she saw, and I had her describe in great detail, she describes a red stippled screen with 5 little white lines running back and forth like you might see in a doctor's office. Now, what kind of an alien is that? What it describes to me is something that's biomechanical.
Where is the eye cover?
Sad to say, but this time this guy was not that smart, but the guy who was in charge was, and they went over and she clamped as hard as she could on the eye cover, and there were 5 of them, and including the what they refer to as the doctor. He's bigger than they are and taller and smarter. And each of them clamped, got on each finger, and they pried her fingers apart and took the eye cover back with her. Now, people could say, well, you made up that whole story, or you made her believe that, or whatever. But 2 years later, the Varginha, Brazil incident happened where 5 of the entities got caught by the military, and the whole city saw most of them. It was really amazing. I mean, they were shocked at what they saw. These 5 entities, and every one of the aliens had red stippled screen eyes, not black eye covers. And at that point, everybody realized, well, he didn't hypnotize her. She must have been telling the truth. Of course she was.
Right.
And but she at least defended herself, and that's the whole point. She and they quit messing with her. I mean, at this point, it doesn't make any sense. If a woman's going to be get evidence and be violent and that sort of thing, what's the point? So maybe that's a hint for others to defend themselves. But we've had several people actually try to fight, even contactees, believe it or not, try to defend themselves in situations. And the bottom line is that if you really want to be smart and be a knock for the alien hunter, a non-official capacity, I will deny your existence. You must bring back evidence, and one of them is simply if you can get that eye cover and bring it back, that'd be great. But if you can scratch them or bring back any evidence like that, or steal anything off that craft, let me know immediately, because I guarantee it's of great value. If he touches you, you already have evidence on you. He's already left his impression on you, and that'll stay there between 8 to 12 hours. Now, that fluorescence will show up on your skin.
Is there anything you can say? I've heard some mention, Jesus, right? That they've gone the religion.
Sometimes it depends, and I've had people argue it different ways. Well, that works sometimes, but it didn't.
Right.
It won't work with all. And I'm not arguing that. I'm saying you use whatever it is that works for you, and there are reasons why it works sometimes and other times it doesn't. I mean, I could go into that, but we'd need another show. The bottom line is one of the best things to do for anybody, especially children, because when people's children get taken, they're horrified. They don't know what to do, and there's nothing as a parent you can do. I mean, it's horrible. So I tell them, teach your child this following little story, or I'll teach it to them. And we used to have the Mickey Mouse Club on TV. It doesn't matter what song it is, as long as it's nonsensical. And one of the songs I teach little kids whenever they get scared, or if they see a big wolf with big black eyes, or a deer with big black eyes in the room, or a big Michelin tire man with big black eyes, or Casper the Friendly Ghost with big black eyes, whatever the screen memory is, which is a lie, that's not who they really are. That's a representation to make you feel more comfortable. When they get in your face like that, the very first thing I want you to do is start singing this little song, and don't stop until everything's okay, until they're gone. And I said, and that's one of the songs I teach them. MICKEY MOUSE, Mickey Mouse. And they just keep singing this over, and it drives the alien nuts, because they're all about control and installing fear and making you obey and compliant and so on. And when they can't get in control of your brain because you're running the show at that point, even though it's nonsensical, they leave.
Well,
they have there's nothing else to do.
I've changed the channel every time I've heard that theme song.
Might be useful.
And what about other literally changing the channel, right? What about other spiritual type of maybe even like a pagan ritual or something like that with salt?
Okay.
Or maybe objects. Is that anything
something
that would work?
Sure.
Yeah.
We have some of these in our described in our self-defense thing. I give them a plethora of things for people to do because if you are a Christian, as an example, you're not going to do pagan things. If you're a pagan, you're not going to do Christian things.
That's right.
So you're kind of missing out, so to speak, one way or another. One of the reasons that spiritual things seem to have an effect on some of these entities, and when it doesn't, it's because the entity himself it's like talking to your computer. In the name of Jesus, I want you to turn off. Probably it won't do that. You're talking to a computer.
Right.
However, when the computer is being used by a live entity that is, in other words, the alien is an avatar for someone else, and the someone else is a spiritual entity, bingo. Now you're going to have some fun. Now you can deal with it. But if you're dealing with the entity, with the alien entity itself, the biological entity, the gray or whatever, and he's not being used as an avatar by, in other words, somebody's not controlling him. A spiritual entity is not doing that, but you'd be better off singing Mickey Mouse. Do you see my point?
I do. Okay. And also, I mentioned leaving the lights on. How about locking the doors and windows? That doesn't really matter.
Doesn't make any difference. This is all for you. It's make you feel comfortable. The fact is that you ought to be comfortable in your own skin, and you ought not allow someone else to force you to maintain huge amounts of energy, that E equal MC squared problem, to maintain their power over you. Because once you decide that's no longer going to work, I don't even care if you never work on the alien thing ever. If you work on the fear part of it, you can get rid of that. These are trainable skills. This is good stuff. I do this for people all the time.
Well, and there's another, when it comes to telepathy or speaking through the mind, and we've heard, about this a lot. But if you are attracting craft outside, night vision, whatever, CE5, there seems to be some kind of connection there. I don't think there's any question about that.
Many people will talk to a little light they'll see in the sky moving around, and once in a while they'll actually get a message back. What's this? And then it does something. They're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. It all depends on whether you want contact or not. And if that's what you want, then there are people that do. Then that's okay. I told literally a guy today about a sound man on a TV program interviewed me after they interviewed me over an alien body. He and this lady actually encountered this guy who showed him an alien body inside a glass container. And the producer of the movie wanted me to give me $150,000 to go buy the body from this guy. And I said, "You've got to be kidding." He said, "Well, I was afraid there was some kind of disease, like a terrible disease, a pandemic or something might occur." I said, "They've been handling and talking to us for many, many years, and there's no pandemic so far." I said, he said, "Well, I wanted to give you the money so you could go buy this alien body from the guy, and that's because you got all these medical people and everything to help you with your stuff." I said, wait a minute. That's never going to happen." He said, "Why not?" And I said, "First of all, I was born in Texas, and I was born at night. But it wasn't last night." I said, "First of all, the man who took the pictures and took the video of that alien entity in that glass container was being watched. I promise you, he was. They know him. They know where the film's at. They know who he showed it to, and they want to see where this thing's going. Now, here's what's going to happen. I walk up there in a public place, lots of witnesses, with $150,000 in a suitcase. I open my suitcase, and he opens his at the same time, so I get to see the alien body and all that. He opens up $150,000. I open his little suitcase, and there's like 8 keys of cocaine there.
Say what?
What do you think is going to happen to me?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think a court anywhere in the world would believe I was there to buy an alien body?
That's right. No, that...
It ain't going to happen, buddy. Like I said, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night.
Yeah, that's...
I said, trust me, they know who he is. I said, right now, he's already in rendition in another country for the next 40 years.
Where did you know this guy personally?
I did not, but I knew the 2 people who saw all this because they just had interviewed me, and immediately after they interviewed me at the University of California at Berkeley, shortly thereafter, they met this guy, and he showed them the film in the back of a red van, and in the van, he showed them the film, the whole body, and he said, "I'll sell it for $150,000. Well, any idiot that should know better that they're watching. That stuff is always, it's highly watched. They knew he did that. Of course they did. They just want to know who it's going out to. Well, what would be the end game? Well, if you wanted to stop the alien hunter, one of the things you might do is just have him open his case, same time I open my case. There's like 8 keys of cocaine there. Then all of a sudden these black bands roll up and feds roll up. Not the feds, not the FBI, other feds. And they take me in, lock me up, and put me in a special metal room with a metal table with the handcuffs on the table. And then some guy comes slapping me around, tries to get me to do this and that. That doesn't work. So finally the boss walks in and yells at the guy, runs him off, and acts like he's on my side. He says, "Those stupid people, I can't believe they're that way." And he looks at me and says, "Do you want to see the real thing?" I said, what's the real thing? Well, the alien, of course. The UFOs, all of it. What if I don't? That hallway's 20 years long. Or you can work for us. Now, you still go to the conference and stuff, but your message is going to change a lot.
What did you see in the film? What did you see in the film?
I didn't see the film myself. They were going to give me the money to make the buy.
Oh, so you never saw the ET in the glass box?
Here's the important point of the story. How I knew about all this is the producer called me and he said, "Have you heard from these two? Did they give you your copy of the film shoot that you did at the University of California, Berkeley?" I said, "No, hadn't seen them." He said, "That's weird." He said, these two have worked for me for years, and he said, "She is my best friend. The director is my best friend." And I said, "What's happened?" He said, "Well, the sound guy took the van with the special lights and everything on it, took it up to the northern part of California, and he said he went up there and tried to play C-SETI. He said, he's about 60% now." He said, "The lady, my best friend, will not return my phone calls." I said, "Somebody already got to both of them."
When was this, Derrel?
This was in 1994.
And
I just finished. The same time I made that presentation to the doctors, the next day is when I met these people, and a few days later they met the guy with the in the red van with the film of the alien body.
Is there?
And it wasn't an alien autopsy. Wasn't anything like it.
No. We all know better than that.
It's the real stuff.
But what have you tried to chase them back down, or this footage? Is there anything I can do?
They will not. The guy kept the footage, and he just showed it to them in order to convince them that it was real, and they were thoroughly convinced of that. The producer was so convinced that he thought there would be a pandemic or something, a disease might get out and affect mankind, and that's why he wanted me to get the body. And he said, "I thought about calling the military," and I said, "I wouldn't do that." And he said, "Why not?" I said, "Well, they have all kinds of evidence, and we don't have very much, and they have a lot." So he said, "Well, I thought about why I should call you," and then I did. And he said, "But Derrel," he said, "these people, these are people. Do you have any idea how long it takes and how much energy it takes to become a director of a film? Their B grade film show, as far as I'm concerned. Good people." And he said, "She just walked away. And she will not return phone calls. They will not talk to me. That's it." And he said, and the sound guy, he said he's about 60%. Said something happened to him. He said, "I guess somebody showed up."
Did they say what convinced them that this was an ET in a glass box? What convinced them of that?
Apparently the fact that it was the tissue appeared to be real. The entity, as far as they were concerned, I have a great deal of trust in the director, the lady. She was no fool. She was no fool at all.
Right.
And if she was convinced of it, of course, the fact is you're not going to get to 150,000 till we get the glass container with the guy in it, the entity in it. That was the whole point. Well, like I told him, I said, "I can assure you that the guy's not going to show up with a glass container with the entity in it. He's going to show up with a box that looks the same size, probably full of cocaine."
Man,
the entity's not going to be in it. that entity's not going to leave their presence. But they're going to force him to go down and do the deal, and then maybe he'll get 10 years instead of 40 at a place of rendition outside the country.
Right.
But he's going for the big ride. You don't get away with stuff like that.
Yeah, I know that there is footage out there like this. I do. I believe that everything that I have seen that has been sent to me too as well has not been real, right? But I know that there is the real stuff does exist out there, but it's the most elusive thing out there. The real footage has not been released. It does not exist.
But I have some footage. I have some film of bodies, and I had one of my tough doctors was talking to me about it, and in fact, I'll tell you a better story. This is great. I had 2 morticians and an internist come over to my house one day, and I invited them over. I said, "How'd you like to see the bodies?" And I thought they were going to have a heart attack.
Right.
And I produced some photographs. I said, "These are not on the internet. You're not going to find this stuff laying around." And they sat there for the longest time. And I said, "Just look at it carefully and tell me what you think. Where's the navel?"
I want to see these. I want to.
Don't have one.
Well, when
Where's
can
the
I see
genitalia?
these?
They don't have any.
When can I see these pics?
Hey, wait a minute. I don't know about all that. Oh, okay. You convinced me. Next time I see you, next time I'm out there, I'm at a conference with you at some big conference. You and I will have a little private. I'll bring him, and it'll just be me, you, and Rita.
I have one picture of a black triangle that I took on film. I'll show you that. It's pretty cool too. I mean, you look at this and you go, well, okay. I mean, it's shot on film, shot at 1995. And I have it. I don't show this to too many people, but I have the negatives and I have the original print that was done at CVS Pharmacy, right? So,
well, I have I've got a picture of a gray, and it doesn't look like the Hollywood version, and a mantis being in the same photo, and several other beings in color, 8x10, and I have the negatives. They were given to me by the surgical nurse who took the pictures.
I can't wait to see him. I can't.
You're not going. It'll eat you up. Well, maybe I can get a conference out at the Contact in the Desert or something like that, and we'll meet out there, and then we'll spend some time together. We'll just have some fun.
Thank you so much, Derrel. Don't ever change, my friend. I know you'll say that you won't, but I'm just telling you, don't ever change. Don't ever change. Thank you so much, Derrel. Again, everybody, alienhunter.org, and the contact forms and the way to get a hold of you, Derrel, it's all right there, right?
It's all there. Books, videos, all kinds of fun stuff. Just have some fun.
Thank you so much, Derrel. Be safe and be well. I know it's late, but thank you for doing this overtime with us. And be safe. And Roswell, that's where you'll be next.
Yeah. I'd like to say something, if I could, real quick about a couple of conferences. One is the Dulce-based conference is going to be on the 22nd, 23rd. Lorraine Willis is the person to contact, and that's at www.dulcebase.com. Going to be a great conference, and the next one after that is Roswell. And then the one after that is Judy Messeline, the owner of the UFO Watchtower in Hooper, Colorado. That's around Alamosa. That's going to be a riot. So UFO Watchtower events.com. Great conferences. Oh, last thing I should tell you.
Yeah.
I have permission from the Roswell hangar, the people that own the hangar, to do an examination inside the hangar. The reason they've agreed to this is because I met an engineer the other day in a McDonald's who was happened to walk by and see I was doing some hands research, doing my hand work on the silicon hand and the other hands that I have for the presentation. And he said, "Have you ever been to Roswell?" And I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's where I'm going to speak." And he says, "We found something strange. They're engineers in the Roswell hangar." And I'm going to have an interview with him in the middle of next week to find out the information. I already have permission. They're going to open up the hangar, which they don't for anybody. They're going to let us go in there with my team and do an evaluation on it, on the evidence that he the engineer, his engineering company, found in the Roswell hangar. Great stuff. I'll let you know what it is when we find it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And got to get you right back on the show after the interview. Let us know what you find out, Derrel.
Absolutely.
You're the best, my friend. Be safe out there. And again, the second you get everything together, let us know.
I will.
Derrel Sims, the Alien Hunter, alienhunter.org. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Thank you so much, Derrel. Great show tonight, as always. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Camurian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitola, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Until tomorrow night, Fader Night, right here. Everybody be safe. Go Backley Tappy.